Commander Jaiho Park stood at the large window of the Earth Defense Force flagship, Dauntless, watching the stars. His dark uniform fit perfectly on his tall frame, showing his rank as the highest officer of humanity's strongest warship. The year was 2457, and humanity had spread to 20 different solar systems. But today, something was different. Today, they weren't alone anymore. "Commander, we have another message from the alien ship," said Major Haenul Kim, walking up to stand beside him. Haenul had served with Jaiho for 15 years, and they trusted each other completely. Jaiho turned away from the window. "What do they say this time?" "They call themselves the Luminary. They want to talk about something they call the Galactic Council." Haenul handed over a tablet showing the translation. "And sir, they seem scared." Jaiho read the message carefully. The Luminary ship had appeared at the edge of the Sol system 3 hours ago. Instead of attacking, they had sent message after message, each one more urgent than the last. They talked about peace, about needing help, and about something called the Shadowcrest Empire. "Tell them we agree to meet," Jaiho said. "But they come to us. One small ship only. Any weapons, and we shoot them down." Haenul nodded and went to send the message. Jaiho looked back at the stars, thinking about how everything would change. Humans had always wondered if they were alone in space. Now they knew they weren't. But first contact wasn't going the way anyone had expected. The Luminary ship arrived 2 hours later. It was beautiful, like a silver leaf floating in space, much smaller than the Dauntless, which was built for war and looked it. Jaiho waited in the meeting room with Haenul and 2 armed guards. The ship's artificial gravity felt a little stronger than usual, probably because he was nervous. The door opened, and Jaiho saw his first alien. The Luminary ambassador looked almost human, except for her silvery skin and large, completely black eyes. She wore flowing robes that seemed to change color with every movement. "I am Mira Lee," she said in perfect English. "I represent both the Luminary people and the Galactic Council." Jaiho noticed she had taken a Korean name, probably to make humans feel more comfortable. "I am Commander Jaiho Park of the Earth Defense Force. Why are you here?" Mayray sat down carefully. "We need your help. You humans, you're different from any species we've met. You come from what we call a death world." "A death world?" Haenul asked. "A planet that should be too dangerous for intelligent life to develop. High gravity, extreme temperatures, dangerous predators, natural disasters." Mireille shook her head. "Most species come from gentle worlds. We never understood how you survived, let alone built a civilization." Jaiho leaned forward. "And now you need that strength." "Yes." Mireille's voice became quieter. "The Shadowcrest Empire has begun attacking peaceful worlds. They're like you, Deathworlders. But they have no mercy, no restraint. They destroy everything they touch. And your Galactic Council can't stop them." Haenul asked. Mireille looked down. We don't know how to fight. Not really. Our weapons are advanced, but our people have no warrior spirit, no understanding of combat. The Shadowcrests are crushing our defenses everywhere they attack." Jaiho shared a look with Haenul. This explained a lot about the Luminary ship's design. Beautiful, but not practical for war. "How many worlds have fallen?" 3 in the last month. 12 million people dead." Mireille's voice shook. "We never imagined. Our civilization has known peace for so long." The room was quiet for a moment. Jaiho thought about Earth's history, about all the wars and battles that had shaped human civilization. They had learned hard lessons about peace and war, about when to fight and when to talk. Maybe that's why the universe had made Earth so harsh, to prepare humanity for this moment. "Show me where they're attacking," Jaiho said. Mireille pressed something on her wrist, and a holographic map appeared in the air. It showed hundreds of star systems, with red marks showing Shadowcrest attacks. Jaiho studied it carefully, already thinking like a military commander. Their attack pattern. Newell said, pointing. They're not just destroying. They're taking control of key resource points. This is a planned invasion. Yes, Mayray said. And their next target will be the farming world of New Eden. 2 billion people live there. If it falls, dozens of other worlds will starve. Jai-Ho stood up and walked to the window again. The Dauntless was humanity's strongest ship, but it wasn't their only one. The Earth Defense Force had been built to protect humanity from any threat. They had never imagined their first real fight would be defending aliens, but that didn't matter. A threat was a threat. Major, he said, send messages to all EDF ships in range. Tell them to prepare for combat operations. He turned to Mayray. We'll help, but we do this our way. No restrictions, no holding back. The Shadow Crests want to see what Deathworlders can do. We'll show them. Mayray stood up quickly. You'll really help. The Council said you might refuse. The humans might not want to join a war that isn't theirs. This is exactly the kind of war that's ours, Jai-Ho said. Protecting the innocent, stopping bullies who think being strong means they can do whatever they want. He smiled slightly. Besides, humanity has been preparing for alien invasions for centuries. It would be a shame to waste all that practice. The next few days were very busy. More luminary ships arrived, bringing information about Shadowcrest weapons and tactics. Jai-Ho worked with his officers to plan Earth's response. They would need more than just the Dauntless. This would be humanity's first real space war. In his quarters, Jai-Ho studied reports about the enemy. The Shadowcrests looked like a cross between Earth's ancient raptors and insects. They came from a world even harsher than Earth, with stronger gravity and more dangerous predators. But they had never faced other Deathworlders before. They had never fought anyone who could really fight back. Commander, Newell called through the comm system. You need to see this. In the command center, Newell showed him new sensor data. The Shadowcrests had attacked another world, but this time something was different. They're getting bolder, Newell said. Their attacks are faster, more aggressive. They know we're coming. Good, Jai-Ho said. Let them be aggressive. Let them think they're the strongest warriors in the galaxy. It will make it even better when we prove them wrong. A week after first contact, the Earth Defense Force was ready. 20 warships, led by the Dauntless, prepared to jump to New Eden. Each ship carried soldiers and weapons designed to fight in any environment. Humanity had spent centuries imagining alien invasions. Now they would show the universe what Earth's children could really do. All ships report ready, Newell said. Jai-Ho looked at Mayray, who had stayed on the Dauntless as their link to the Galactic Council. Last chance to change your mind about watching this. I need to see, she said quietly. We all do. We need to understand what real warfare looks like. Very well. Jai-Ho sat in his command chair. All ships, prepare for jump. Combat stations. Today we show the galaxy why Earth is called a death world. The ships vanished into jump space, heading for their first real battle. As they traveled, Jai-Ho thought about everything that had led to this moment. Every war humanity had fought, every lesson they had learned about survival against impossible odds. The Shadowcrests thought they were the ultimate warriors because they came from a harsh world. They were about to learn that true strength came from more than just surviving. It came from protecting others, from standing up against bullies, from being willing to fight not just for yourself, but for what was right. Jump complete, Newell reported. New Eden in visual range. The peaceful farming world filled the main screen. It looked a lot like Earth. Blue oceans, green lands, white clouds. And above it, waiting in space, were the ships of the Shadowcrest Empire. Enemy ships detected, said the sensor officer. 30. No, 40 vessels. Larger than our ships. Jai-Ho smiled. The Shadowcrests had sent a huge fleet, expecting to find only peaceful luminary ships trying to evacuate civilians. Instead, they were about to meet humanity's finest warriors, commanded by people who had studied war for their entire lives. All ships, battle formation Delta, Jaiho ordered. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. And remember, we are humanity. We come from Earth, the planet that taught us to never give up, never surrender, and never let bullies win. The human ships moved into position, their formation perfect after countless drills. On the main screen, the Shadowcrest ships began to move too, but their formation was loose, undisciplined. They weren't ready for a real fight. They're scanning us, Haynul reported, getting a transmission. They're ordering us to leave or be destroyed. Send them our reply, Jaiho said. Haynul pressed a button, sending the message they had prepared. This is Commander Jaiho Park of the Earth Defense Force. You wanted to meet real warriors. Congratulations. You just did. The battle for New Eden was about to begin. And with it, the galaxy would learn why humans were called the ultimate warriors. Captain Tadwan Choi watched the space battle from the bridge of his dropship. The Earth Defense Force ships moved like dancers, each turn and maneuver perfectly timed. The Shadowcrest ships were bigger and had better weapons, but they fought like animals, charging straight ahead without thinking. 30 seconds to atmospheric entry, said his pilot. Enemy fighters approaching. Taiwan turned to his team. 20 of Earth's best soldiers sat ready in their combat suits. Each one had trained for years for this moment. Remember, he said, we're not just fighting for Earth anymore. We're fighting for everyone who can't fight for themselves. The dropship shook as it entered New Eden's atmosphere. Outside, 3 Shadowcrest fighters chased them, shooting energy beams that lit up the sky. But their pilot was from Earth, where the air was treacherous and storms could kill. She flew through the enemy fire like it was a light rain. Ground forces detected, reported the ship's computer. Enemy troops gathering near the main farming complex. Taiwan checked his weapon. It was a standard Earth rifle, modified to work against alien armor. All teams, prepare for combat drop. Show these aliens why humans are the galaxy's best warriors. The back door of the dropship opened. Wind rushed in as the ship flew low over green fields. Taiwan saw the farming complex ahead. Tall white buildings surrounded by vast fields of grain. Shadowcrest soldiers moved through the fields, their insect-like bodies easy to spot against the yellow wheat. Drop, Taiwan ordered. 20 human soldiers jumped from the ship, their combat suits helping them land safely. The Shadowcrests saw them and started shooting, but human combat suits were built to survive on Earth. Energy beams that would have killed other aliens barely scratched the armor. Team 1, protect the civilians. Ta-1 ordered. Team 2 with me. Let's show them how Earth fights. The human soldiers moved with perfect teamwork. Each step, each shot was planned and practiced. The Shadowcrests were strong and fast, but they fought alone, each one trying to be the hero. Against humans who worked together, they didn't stand a chance. A group of Shadowcrest soldiers charged at Taiwan's team. They were impressive, 2 meters tall, with natural armor and sharp claws. On their world, they were the top predators. But Earth had taught humans that being the strongest didn't mean you would win. Formation 3, Taiwan called. His team moved instantly, spreading out in a pattern they had practiced thousands of times. The Shadowcrests ran straight into carefully placed crossfire. 5 aliens fell in seconds. Captain, called one of his soldiers. Civilians trapped in the main building. Enemy forces trying to break in. Taiwan looked at the building. It was tall and white, with large windows that were perfect for defenders to shoot from. The Shadowcrests were trying to climb the walls, their claws leaving deep scratches in the metal. Team 2, cover me, he ordered. Then he ran straight toward the building. The Shadowcrests saw him coming. 3 of them jumped down to attack. Taiwan didn't slow down. His combat suit enhanced his strength and speed, making him faster than even these aliens from a high-gravity world. He dodged the first alien's claws, shot the second one, and used the third's momentum to throw it into a wall. Inside the building, he found 50 civilians hiding in a large room. They looked like the luminary, peaceful people who had never seen real violence. They stared at him with wide, frightened eyes. "I'm Captain Tadwan Choi, Earth Defense Force," he said calmly. "We're here to help." One of the civilians stepped forward. "The Shadow Crests. They said no one could fight them. That resistance was pointless." Taiwan smiled inside his helmet. They'd never met humans before. Outside, the battle continued. Human dropships landed all around the farming complex, bringing more soldiers. The Shadow Crests fought hard, but they started to realize something was wrong. These new enemies weren't running away. They weren't begging for mercy. They were fighting back, and they were winning. "All teams report," Ta-1 called as he set up defenses around the civilians. "Team 1, east side secured. Team 3, enemy forces retreating from the grain silos. Team 4, we have wounded civilians but no casualties." The reports kept coming. All around the complex, human soldiers were pushing back the alien invaders. The Shadow Crests had expected easy victims, but they found warriors who had spent centuries preparing for war. In space, the battle was going even better. Commander Jaiho's ships had trapped the Shadow Crest fleet in a complex web of crossfire. The alien ships were bigger and stronger, but Earth ships were faster and worked together perfectly. One by one, the mighty Shadow Crest warships were destroyed or forced to retreat. "Captain," called one of Taiwan's soldiers. "Large enemy force approaching from the north. At least 50 warriors." Taiwan looked through the building's windows. A huge group of Shadow Crests was gathering in the wheat field. They were preparing for one final attack to take the building. "All teams, converge on my position," he ordered. "Bring the heavy weapons." The Shadow Crest leader stepped forward. It was bigger than the others, its natural armor decorated with marks that probably showed its rank. It looked at the building and made a sound that the translators turned into words. "Come out, Earth warriors. Face us in honest combat. Prove you are worthy to fight us." Taiwan walked out of the building's main door. His soldiers lined up behind him, weapons ready. The two forces faced each other across the wheat field, 50 huge alien warriors against 20 humans in combat suits. "We don't need to prove anything," Taiwan said clearly. "You attacked peaceful people. You killed civilians. On Earth, we have a name for creatures like you. Bullies. And we learned a long time ago how to deal with bullies." The Shadow Crest leader roared and charged forward. Its warriors followed, their claws extended, their armor gleaming in the sunlight. They looked unstoppable. Taiwan pressed a button on his suit. Now, the wheat field exploded. While the Shadow Crests had been gathering, human soldiers had planted small bombs in the ground. The explosions didn't kill the aliens. Their natural armor was too strong, but the blasts threw them into confusion, breaking their charge. "All teams, attack pattern Delta," Taiwan ordered. The human soldiers moved like one body. They had trained for years to work together, to use each other's strengths. The Shadow Crests were stronger, faster, and naturally armored. But humans had learned on Earth that the strongest creature wasn't always the one that survived. The battle was short but fierce. The Shadow Crest leader fought like a demon, its claws leaving deep marks in Taiwan's armor. But it fought alone, while Taiwan's soldiers protected each other, moved together, fought as one. In the end, the Shadow Crest leader stood alone, surrounded by fallen warriors. It looked at the humans with its insect eyes, and for the first time, there was something new in its voice: respect. "How?" it asked. "We are stronger. We are faster. Our world is harsher than yours. How did you defeat us?" Taiwan lowered his weapon. "Strength isn't everything. Earth taught us that. We survived not because we were the strongest, but because we learned to work together, to protect each other, to fight not for glory, but for what's right." The Shadow Crest leader looked at its fallen warriors, then at the humans who stood ready to fight more if needed. Finally, it lowered its claws. "We surrender," it said. Never, never have we met warriors like you. Above them, the space battle was ending too. The Shadowcrest fleet was retreating, leaving their ground forces behind. Commander Jaiho's voice came through all their communicators. All forces report. New Eden is secured. Civilian casualties minimal. Enemy forces in full retreat. There was a pause. Well done, everyone. The galaxy just learned why you don't underestimate humans. Taiwan looked at his team. Their armor was scratched and dented, but everyone was alive. They had faced the galaxy's most feared warriors and won. Not because they were stronger or faster, but because Earth had taught them the most important lesson of all. True strength comes from working together. The civilians came out of the building, looking at the battlefield with amazed eyes. One of them approached Taiwan carefully. You saved us, she said. The Shadowcrests said no one could stand against them, that they were the ultimate warriors. Taiwan smiled. They forgot something important. Every species has stories about great warriors. But on Earth, we don't just have stories. We lived them. We learned from them. And now, we use that knowledge to protect others. As cleanup teams arrived to help the civilians and deal with the surrendered Shadowcrests, Taiwan knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy had seen what humans could do. The story of the Battle of New Eden would spread, and other worlds would learn that humanity wasn't just another species from a harsh world. They were the ultimate warriors, not because they were the strongest or the fastest, but because they had learned the true meaning of strength, the power to protect, to stand together, and to fight for what was right. Science officer Yoon Hee-song sat in her laboratory aboard the Dauntless, studying data from the Battle of New Eden. 3 weeks had passed since that first victory, and the Galactic Council wanted to understand how humans had defeated the Shadowcrests so easily. The answer isn't in our physical strength, she said to Mayray, who had become a regular visitor to her lab. Look at these readings. The Shadowcrests are stronger than us. Their natural armor is better than our combat suits. Their reflexes are faster. Mayray looked at the screen showing detailed scans of both species. Then how did you win? Yoon-hee pointed to another screen showing brain scans. Because of this, the human mind. Earth didn't just make our bodies strong, it made our minds stronger. The door opened, and Commander Jaiho entered with Major Hanyul. They had just returned from a meeting with the Galactic Council. The Council wants answers, Jaiho said. 3 more Shadowcrest fleets have retreated after facing our ships. They want to know our secret. Yoon-hee smiled. I was just explaining it to Mirai. We've been studying the wrong thing. Everyone thinks Earth made us strong because it's a harsh world. But that's not the real gift Earth gave us. She pressed some buttons, and a large screen showed Earth's history. Look at our past. Every time we faced a challenge, we didn't just survive. We adapted. We learned. We got better. The Shadowcrests came from a harder world than Earth, but they never changed. They just got stronger. Hanyul looked interested. What do you mean? The Shadowcrests are the strongest species on their world, so they never needed to change. But on Earth, humans were never the strongest. We weren't the fastest. We didn't have the best natural weapons, so we had to become something else. We had to become smarter. Mayray watched the screen showing human history. Your wars. Yes, Yoon-hee said. Every war taught us something new. We learned to work together, to plan ahead, to think in ways other species don't. The Shadowcrests fight like their ancient ancestors did, charging straight ahead, relying on strength. But humans, we change, we adapt, we overcome. Commander Jaiho nodded slowly. That's why our ships won at New Eden. The Shadowcrests had better weapons, but they used simple tactics. Charge forward, shoot everything, expect the enemy to run away. Exactly, Yoon-hee said. But look at our battle recordings. She played videos from the battle. The Earth ships moved in complex patterns, supporting each other, using formations that looked chaotic, but were carefully planned. The Shadowcrest ships moved in straight lines, relying on their powerful weapons. "We don't just fight with our bodies," He explained. "We fight with our minds." Every soldier in that battle was thinking, adapting, working with others. The Shadowcrests fought like animals, each one trying to be the hero. We fought like humans, as a team. Mayray looked amazed. "This is why the Council needs your help. We never understood warfare this way. We thought it was just about having better weapons. That's what most species think," he said. "But Earth taught us differently. Every challenge we faced made us think in new ways. Every problem forced us to adapt. That's the real gift of being a Deathworlder, not just surviving, but learning how to survive better." A loud alarm interrupted them. "Commander to the bridge," called a voice over the speakers. Shadowcrest fleet detected near Colony 7. They rushed to the bridge. The main screen showed a massive fleet of Shadowcrest ships approaching a small human colony. There were more ships than at New Eden. Much more. "They're learning," Haynul said. "Sending more ships, trying to overwhelm us with numbers." Jaiho studied the tactical display. "Yes, but look at their formation. Still the same simple attack pattern. They're using more ships, but they haven't changed how they fight." "Because they can't," he said. "Their whole civilization is based on being the strongest. They don't know how to change." Jaiho smiled. "Then let's show them something new. Major, signal all ships. Battle plan Echo." The Earth fleet moved into position. It was smaller than the Shadowcrest fleet, but every ship knew exactly what to do. They had trained for this, prepared for it. While the Shadowcrests had spent centuries being strong, humans had spent centuries learning how to defeat the strong. The battle began. The Shadowcrest ships charged forward, their weapons blazing, but the Earth ships didn't meet them head-on. Instead, they split into small groups, attacking from different angles, supporting each other with coordinated fire. "Look at their response," he said, pointing at the tactical display. "They don't know what to do. Their usual tactics aren't working, but they can't think of new ones." The Shadowcrest fleet tried to adjust, but every change they made was too simple, too predictable. The Earth ships seemed to know what they would do before they did it. "This is why you're winning," Mayray said quietly. "Not because you're stronger, but because we understand warfare better." Jaiho finished. "We know it's not about being the strongest. It's about being the smartest, the most adaptable, the best at working together." The battle continued for hours. The Shadowcrest fleet was huge, but size wasn't enough. One by one, their ships were destroyed or forced to retreat. The Earth fleet took damage but kept fighting, each ship protecting the others, all of them working together perfectly. Finally, the last Shadowcrest ships fled. The human colony was safe, but more importantly, they had shown the galaxy something important about warfare. "Send the battle recordings to the Galactic Council," Jaiho ordered. "They need to understand what they're seeing." Later, in He's lab, they watched the Council's response. The alien leaders were amazed by what they had seen. They had never imagined warfare could be so complex, so thoughtful. "They're beginning to understand," he said. "Earth didn't just make us strong. It made us think differently. Every challenge we faced, every war we fought, every problem we solved, they all taught us something new." Mayray looked at the battle recordings again. "The Shadowcrests think being the ultimate warrior means being the strongest, but you're showing the galaxy something different." "Yes," he said. "Being the ultimate warrior isn't about being the strongest. It's about being the most adaptable, the most innovative, the best at working together. Earth taught us that lesson through millions of years of evolution." Commander Jaiho looked out the window at the stars. "And now we're teaching it to the galaxy." The Shadowcrests wanted to show everyone why Deathworlders are the ultimate warriors. They just didn't expect the lesson to come from us. As they prepared for the next battle, He continued her research. She knew that understanding why humans were different was just as important as winning battles. The galaxy needed to learn what Earth had taught humanity, that true strength comes in many forms, and the strongest isn't always the one who wins. The war was far from over, but something had changed. The Shadowcrests had wanted to prove they were the ultimate warriors because they came from the harshest world. Instead, they were learning that being a warrior meant more than just being strong. It meant being smart, being adaptable, and most importantly, being able to work together. As Yoon-hee wrote in her report to the Galactic Council, Earth made us strong, but it made us something else too. It made us human. And that, more than any physical strength, is what makes us the ultimate warriors. 6 months had passed since the Battle of New Eden. The war with the Shadowcrest Empire had reached a critical point. Commander Jai-Ho Park stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, looking at the tactical display showing the Shadowcrest home system. "The enemy fleet is massive," Major Hae-Newell said, standing beside him. "They've called back every ship they have. 300 warships protecting their homeworld." Jai-Ho nodded. The Earth Defense Force had grown too. 50 human warships waited in formation, joined by 30 ships from the Galactic Council. The Council ships were commanded by Mira Lee, who had learned much about warfare from watching humans fight. "Are the Special Forces ready?" Jai-Ho asked. "Captain Ta-Won reports all teams prepared," Hae-Newell answered. Science Officer Yoon-hee's new weapons are installed and tested. This would be their biggest battle yet. The Shadowcrests had lost every major fight against human forces, but they were far from defeated. They had retreated to their homeworld, gathering their strength for one final battle. "Send the message," Jai-Ho ordered. Hae-Newell pressed some buttons, and Jai-Ho's voice carried to every ship in the fleet. "This is Commander Park. Today we end this war. But remember, we're not here for revenge. We're not here to destroy. We're here to show the galaxy a better way. Fight well. Fight smart. Fight together." The human fleet moved forward. The Shadowcrest ships formed a wall of steel and energy weapons in front of their homeworld. Their ships were bigger, stronger, and more heavily armed. But humans had learned long ago that being stronger wasn't enough. "All ships, battle formation Omega," Jai-Ho ordered. The Earth fleet split into small groups, each one moving in perfect coordination. The Council ships stayed back, protecting the Special Forces vessels carrying Ta-Won's teams. Yoon-hee's research had found a weakness in Shadowcrest ships. They couldn't track multiple small targets well. The battle began. The Shadowcrest fleet fired everything they had, filling space with energy beams and plasma torpedoes. But the human ships danced through the fire, their movements planned and practiced for months. "First wave, attack," Jai-Ho ordered. 20 human ships charged forward, firing special weapons Yoon-hee had designed. The weapons didn't try to destroy the Shadowcrest ships. Instead, they overloaded their sensors, making it hard for them to aim. "Second wave, proceed," Jai-Ho called. Another group of ships attacked from a different angle. The Shadowcrest fleet tried to turn to face them, but that left them open to attacks from the first wave. Slowly, carefully, the human fleet began to break up the enemy formation. On the tactical display, Jai-Ho watched the battle unfold. The Shadowcrests were fighting better than before. They had learned some lessons from their defeats, but they still fought like individuals, each ship trying to prove it was the strongest. "Commander," Hae-Newell called, "enemy ships breaking through on Vector 7. They're heading for the Council vessels." "Exactly as planned," Jai-Ho said. "Signal Captain Ta-Won. Begin Operation Mercy." Deep in the Dauntless, Ta-Won and his teams prepared for their most important mission. Their dropships were special, designed to look like debris from destroyed ships. When the Shadowcrest ships broke through, chasing what they thought were easy targets, they ignored the pieces of wreckage floating past them. "All teams, launch," Ta-Won ordered. The dropships activated their engines, heading for the biggest Shadowcrest warships. Their mission wasn't to destroy. It was something much harder. "Remember, Taiwan told his soldiers, "We only use stun weapons. No killing unless absolutely necessary. We're not here to destroy them. We're here to show them a better way." The dropships attached to the Shadowcrest ships like small parasites. Special cutting tools opened holes in the hulls, and human soldiers in combat suits entered the alien vessels. Inside the Shadowcrest flagship, Taiwan led his team through dark corridors. The ship was huge, built to show the power of its species. They met resistance, Shadowcrest warriors in space armor, fighting to protect their ship. But humans had trained for this. Their stun weapons dropped the alien warriors without killing them. When some Shadowcrests surrendered, the humans treated them with respect, not as defeated enemies, but as warriors who had fought well. Bridge ahead, Taiwan's sensors showed heavy resistance. The Shadowcrest leadership would be there. The aliens who had started this war, who had attacked peaceful worlds, who had believed that being strong meant they had the right to hurt others. Non-lethal weapons only, Taiwan reminded his team. Show them what real strength looks like. They breached the bridge. 20 Shadowcrest warriors waited, led by their war chief, bigger than the others, its natural armor decorated with marks of rank and battle. They raised their weapons, ready to fight to the death. "Wait," Taiwan said, stepping forward. He removed his helmet, showing his face to the enemy. It was dangerous, but he needed them to see he was real, not just another armored warrior. "You fight well," he said to the war chief. "Your people are strong, brave, but strength isn't everything. Earth taught us that. Let us show you a better way." The war chief stepped forward. Its alien face couldn't show human expressions, but its voice carried respect when it spoke. "Why do you not kill us? We would kill you." "Because that's the difference between being strong and being truly powerful," Taiwan answered. "Any creature can kill. It takes real strength to show mercy." Meanwhile, in space, the battle was reaching its peak. The human fleet had broken the Shadowcrest formation into small groups. The council ships, led by Mirai, were disabling enemy vessels with special weapons Uni had designed. Commander Hainul reported, receiving transmissions from multiple Shadowcrest ships. "They're surrendering." Jaiho watched the tactical display. One by one, Shadowcrest ships were powering down their weapons. They had finally learned what humans had known for centuries, that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stop fighting. On the Shadowcrest flagship, the war chief looked at the battle display, showing its fleet surrendering. "Why?" it asked. "Why show mercy to enemies?" "Because that's what makes us different," Taiwan said. "Earth didn't just teach us to be strong. It taught us to be wise, to understand that real power isn't about destroying enemies. It's about making them into friends." The war chief was silent for a long moment. Then, slowly, it lowered its weapons. The other Shadowcrest warriors followed their leader's example. "Perhaps," the war chief said, "we have much to learn from Earth's children." The news spread quickly through the Shadowcrest fleet. Their leaders had surrendered not because they were weak, but because they had seen something new, a kind of strength they had never understood before. Hours later, Commander Jaiho stood in a large meeting room on the Dauntless. The Shadowcrest war chief was there, along with Mirai from the council, Taiwan, Hainul, and Uni. "Your world is harsh," Jaiho said to the war chief. "It made you strong. But Earth taught us that being strong isn't enough. The galaxy doesn't need more warriors who can destroy. It needs warriors who can protect." The war chief looked at each human in turn. "We thought we were the ultimate warriors because we were the strongest. But you showed us true warfare isn't about strength alone." "No," Yoon he said. "It's about wisdom, about knowing when to fight and when to show mercy, about working together instead of trying to prove who's strongest." Mirai stepped forward. "The Council offers peace to the Shadowcrest Empire, not as conquered enemies, but as equals. Will you join us in protecting the galaxy instead of trying to rule it?" The war chief was quiet for a moment. Then it stood straighter, showing a warrior's pride. We will learn from Earth's children. You have shown us a better way to be strong. Later, on the observation deck, Jai-Ho watched ships from all three species working together to help damaged vessels. Humans in combat suits worked alongside Shadowcrest warriors to rescue trapped crew members. Council medical ships treated the wounded of all species. Earth's greatest gift wasn't making us strong, he said to his officers. It was teaching us that true strength comes in many forms. Sometimes it looks like mercy. Sometimes it looks like working together. Sometimes it looks like helping those who were just trying to kill you. Hanul smiled. The ultimate warriors. Yes, Jai-Ho said, but not because we're the strongest or the most dangerous. Because we learned what real warfare means. Protecting others, standing together, and knowing that the greatest victory isn't destroying your enemy. It's turning them into allies. As the ships headed home, the galaxy had learned an important lesson. Every species had stories about great warriors, about mighty battles and powerful weapons. But Earth had taught its children something more important, that being a warrior wasn't about being the strongest. It was about being the wisest, the most adaptable, and most importantly, the most human. The war was over. The Shadowcrests had learned that being strong wasn't enough. The Council had learned that peace sometimes needed warriors to protect it. And humanity had shown the galaxy why they were the ultimate warriors, not because they came from a harsh world, but because they had learned to be something more than just strong. They had learned to be wise.